The traveler had learned how to care, how to give, how to support. He was the listener, the caretaker, the reliable one who always absorbed the current so others could stand safely. Somewhere along the way, he internalized a specific equation. Needing nobody and providing for everybody meant he was emotionally secure. Standing alone was the absolute definition of safety. Then a relatively unremarkable thing happened. Someone offered him simple, undramatic, genuine care, no strings attached. Instead of gratitude, a wave of discomfort washed over him. His first instinct was to deflect. He wanted to explain why they shouldn't waste their energy, why their help was unnecessary, why he was perfectly fine, always fine. Why would a simple act of kindness trigger a defense mechanism? Why would genuine care feel like an incoming threat to someone who prides himself on knowing how to love? Endless generosity often serves a hidden second purpose. For the traveler, offering support had quietly calcified into a psychological shield. When you are the one dispensing love, you retain authority over the relationship dynamic. In a one-way energy flow, you dictate the terms. You decide exactly how much affection to offer and what to reveal. This creates an impenetrable barrier, eliminating the risk of reliance, ensuring no one is ever truly there for you. To accept care is to forfeit that high ground. You no longer dictate the terms of engagement. Receiving requires you to surrender your positional control. You have to put down the armor of the strong, dependable performer. You have to allow someone to look at you, truly look at you, without a script. That means exposing the version of yourself that you usually hide, the version that has actual needs, the version that gets tired, that struggles, that legitimately requires someone else's support to stand upright. For the hyper-independent, this awakens old anxieties about dependence. It requires trusting that if you lean on someone, they will actually stay, and accepting that you are handing them the power to cause you pain. This is why being loved feels like a crisis. It demands the immediate dismantling of the exact walls you spent your entire life building to survive. But the resistance goes deeper than a simple loss of control. At its core, the rejection of care is often driven by a deeply buried belief of unworthiness. Genuine affection acts as a mirror, highlighting the areas where you secretly suspect you are not enough. When someone affirms your value, that outside perspective collides with your own doubts. The mind repels the contradiction to keep its internal narrative intact. This explains the instinct to immediately deflect praise. To absorb a compliment or to accept a helping hand, you have to entertain a highly unfamiliar possibility, that you are already inherently worthy of it. If your operating system runs on the belief that affection must be earned through utility, freely given love breaks the rules. It feels confusing, it feels suspicious, and ultimately temporary. Without a foundation of self-worth, receding love feels less like a gift and more like a debt you aren't sure you can ever repay. The traveler began a very uncomfortable, deliberate practice. He stopped deflecting. When support arrived, he forced himself to let it exist without immediately scrambling to balance the scales. It felt entirely unnatural. He was forcing his brain to decipher a foreign language his heart had never spoken. Yet this practice targets the reality of connection. No relationship can sustain itself if the energy flows exclusively in a single direction. Affection functions much like breathing. It requires an inhale and an exhale, a rhythmic movement that must flow in both directions to sustain life. Needing someone does not diminish your strength. It is the very process that makes a deep and lasting connection possible. The definition of emotional security must be rewritten. It is not the rigid, hyper-independent absence of need. It is not standing entirely alone on a mountain. True emotional security is the capacity for interdependence. It is the ability to rely on others without losing your own identity, and to accept their care without suspicion or guilt. Feeling safe to be loved doesn't require a naive guarantee that no one will ever hurt you, or that every relationship you build is permanent. It is simply the quiet, grounded confidence that you are entirely worthy of the affection you receive, the exact moment it arrives, without having to perform a single act to earn it. You are allowed to be loved exactly where you are, even while you are still growing and still healing. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do with love is simply let it reach you.